to the Philip James Sterwerf Podcast. It is the only show that blows so hard a shard of my soul will fill your ear and steer your mind into a sea of utter boredom and ease. I do not have a co-host. I do not have any good equipment whatsoever. But boy, do I have some ideas. Yes, sir, ideas all over my curly-haired head. I've had the idea of making a podcast because I love the idea of podcasts, but can't find one that's just right for me. I've listened mindlessly to too many people like me talk about whatever the hell they want to act like they are experts at. If they can do it, so can I. Let me give you a quick rundown of what is up ahead. First, I will interview today's guest, Wilson Prickett, an independent film director I met in Miami. Second, I will perform a poem for you and explain what I was thinking when writing the poem. Third, I will sing and play a song. This will also have a brief explanation of what was going on through my mind when writing it. And finally, I'll read you a story of mine and give you an inside look of what makes me tick. Without further ado, let's hear from my guest. Mr. Prickett, are you there? Hello, Philip. Thank you for being the first guest of my brand new podcast, Mr. Prickett. I am both honored and repulsed. Okay, tell us a little about yourself. My name is Wilson Prickett. I am a film director. I make films. Although we've met a few months ago, I must admit I haven't seen any of your films yet. Tell us about your latest flick. I am not a creator of flicks. I make films. Oops. Sorry about that. Tell us, my latest film is entitled Inside of the Mind of an Inchworm. It is a black and white film consisting of only 2 shots with a total running time of 3 hours and 47 minutes and 11 seconds. Wow, it sounds experimental and strange. Only 2 shots that entire running time? Yes. The first shot is a following close-up of an inchworm, making its way to a single fallen leaf from a tree that is 40 meters out of frame on the same fallen log. The second shot reveals the log, the leaf, and the inchworm are all outside of the border of Auschwitz. Ooh, that gives me goosebumps. I can imagine the feeling you get when following the inchworm for so long only to reveal where it is. It kind of brings this profound sense of meaning with his hunger for the leaf and that was not my intent. The inchworm represents the feeling you get when a stranger eats an orange on a train while you are standing near the front of the cart and he's consuming in the rear. What? I'm not finished explaining, Sterwerf. The leaf represents a parental figure at the top of the stairs, singing happy birthday to your dead grandmother, who's lied about her age for the last 8 years of her life until the very end, 16 years ago. Together with the log, in obvious stand-in for the impotence of political authority, it all begs the question, where are all the original light bulbs Thomas Edison has created? And the answer, of course, is Auschwitz. Oh, that is also interesting, profound. I had no idea how thoughtful you were. I bet you and the critics, I bet you were loved by the critics, and the critics loved your film. What was the reception inside of the mind of an inchworm? The critics despised it. The audience ignored it. And I am in the bathtub with my toaster. Well, my friend, thank you for spending the last moments of your life with us. We'll be back after a few messages.
Do you have erectile dysfunction? No. Great! My name is Chad Alpern, and I'm looking for someone with the working penis. I specialize in boner sketches, wiener photography, and shaft silhouettes. Come see me in my office from 11:30 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. at 3700 West Palm Grove, Doral, Florida 33024. I may seem busy, but I'm sure I can fit you in.
This episode of Philip James Sterwerf Podcast is brought to you by Philip James Sterwerf and his lack of funds. Are you an artist and want to be featured on this podcast? I won't pay you, but I'd love to talk to you with a voice recorder recording us. I love art of all kinds and would love to meet you. Or if you are already a friend of mine, I'd love to have a visit. Please contact me via email, philip.james.sterwerf@gmail.com, or call me if you know my number. A cricket's chirp. Bones know when to riot. The smell of bloated butterfly stories of their caterpillar days stay in constant spotlights. Bones know when to riot. All the individual crickets sing and holler all in their own individual voices until the marsh calls it all the chirping of crickets. Bones know when to riot. Cicadas sleep. Cicadas shed. Cicadas fuck. Cicadas die. Bones know when to riot. The ladybugs have lovely shells, soft, elegant see-through wings, white pretend eyeliner, and are all also males, mistakenly labeled by ignorant PragerU professors. Bones know when to riot. Flies have legs, fleas have legs, and grasshoppers have legs too. They also all have eyes. Can they see danger and run from the gunfire of bug spray equally? Bones know when to riot. Do the termites understand they are destroying our structures, or do they only consume the crumbling floorboards because they can? Bones know when to riot. Lightning bugs burp and glow, knowing when to display their beautiful chemical imbalances to make an attractive statement in the night sky full of 100 million stars. Bones know when to riot, because they will be cooled from the devouring of your meat by the maggots. The maggots! The maggots! Mitch McConnell slug bugs drooling over the bounty of your dead or dying corpses. The maggots! The maggots! Margaret Thatcher Brits wanting to be independent from the world they conquered for spices they don't use. The maggots! The maggots! When you see these things, the meat is no good. Take it out to the fridge and feed it to the rats. The rats. The rats. The beautiful, hungry rats. The rats that love what we discard. The rats that worship in the sewers underground and the dumpsters up above. The rats who are blamed for spreading all of our uniquely human mass catastrophes. The rats that, when completely left out of human-rotted civilizations, will eat all the bugs. Bones know when to riot, and I believe my skeleton is ready. Oof, okay, so listening back to that, me reading A Cricket's Chirp, one of my favorite recent poems I wrote, let's see, February 19th of 2020, which is funny because I wrote the first part of this podcast in 2018 when I was still living in Miami. So, so I guess I told myself 2 years ago that I was going to explain what I was writing in my poem. So this poem, well, first of all, I want to make fun of how I'm like, hello, welcome to the Philip James Sterwerf Podcast. And then immediately after, I'm like, the maggots, with like the deepest voice. So there's that. There's a poet voice. Poet voice exists. I don't know if non-poets know that, but like we don't always talk the way that we read. and it's pretty pathetic and sad actually, and we don't really realize it until afterwards when people are like, wow, I really loved your work, and came up to me, like, for example, when people come up to me at open mics and say, like, I really liked your stuff, and I'm like, hello, and I don't really, like, have, like, a presentable voice when I'm talking normally, and it's a horrible idea for me to have a podcast. Anyway, hello. Hi, Spooky. Meow. So anyway, A Cricket's Chirp, this poem. So there's a lot in here. I'll only tackle a few things I like about this poem. My repetition comes from Catholicism. If you listen to this, if I make another one of these, or if you just read or listen to my poems, you'll notice that I love repetition, and it kind of comes from Catholicism and going to church every Sunday as a kid and up to adulthood, and it's like, Lord, hear our prayer. Like, it's something really powerful about, like, a community, usually of old farts, and then they get all this, like, poet voice, and then they say, Lord, hear our prayer. And it's usually for something like, for Ethel Berman, who recently passed away, Lord, hear our prayer. And it's pretty powerful stuff to me, in just many ways, just like how it sounds. I really like it. So that's why the bones know when to riot. I really like using that line. It kind of brings everything back. And then if I lose people, like in like a paragraph of the smell of the bloated butterfly, yada yada yada, everyone's like, okay, I don't know what that image means. And then it's like, Lord, hear our prayer. Bones know when to riot. And it kind of brings everybody back. Like, yeah, we're paying attention, and they're really not. Another thing I want to point out on here that I really like is the another thing people know about me is well, I was raised Catholic. A lot of people know that, and a lot of people can sense that. To steal from John Mulaney, you probably sense that as soon as you started this podcast. But a lot of people also know that my favorite poet is Allen Ginsberg, the Beat, the really famous poet. He wrote Howl, and his collection Howl and Other Poems is probably the most inspirational book in my life, like, that I've read. I've read it several times. I read it. I recently lost my copy of it, but hopefully I find it soon. I think it's with my parents, and my parents have been looking for it for months now. But I really love the part of the poem Howl when it's Moloch, Moloch, whose eyes are 1,000 blind windows, Moloch. Something about that poem just woke up, like, the demon inside of me, woke up everything and made everything make sense to me in a way of, like fuck authority and all that stuff, all that good stuff that comes out of you in your early 20s. And that poem hit me at, like, the perfect time, and then I've never came back from it. I love it. There's nothing much else to say, but you can obviously hear it. It's just like bones that went into riot. Lord, hear our prayer. There's something about it. The maggots, Moloch, Moloch. So what this whole thing is trying to say is that I steal a lot, and I think all artists steal a lot. Let's see. Yeah, obviously. My final thing that I really love about this poem is it's mainly about the internet for me. I don't know if that ruined the reading for you. Maybe you had a bunch of other opinions on it. It's mainly about the internet, and I'll give you two examples. All the individual crickets sing and holler all in their own individual voices until the marsh calls it all the chirping of crickets. So this whole stanza alone, I think, is one of the best things I've ever written. I'm going to be saying that a lot as I write onward, because that's how it works. So, all the individual crickets sing and holler, all in their own individual voices, until the marsh calls it all the chirping of crickets. Just all the sounds in it are very good. I'm a very sound guy when it comes to poems. It has a really loud bah at it. And then what it means to me and why I wrote it is that, like, we have Twitter, we have podcasts, for example. We have Facebook. We have all these social media accounts where we could just freely give away our ideas and just say, this is how I feel, this is how I think, this is how I talk, this is what I buy. Facebook, please give me advertisements. And everyone just is like, here I am, and they're all writing their manifestos, and there's like so much shit on the internet that like you can mean the world about anything you ever say on it, and it's just, even if you say the most profound thing in the world, it's just going to be swallowed up by like, for example, if I say something profound on this podcast, there's going to be like 1 million podcasts coming out on the same day, and they're all going to be listened to around the same time, all at the same. There's just so much broadcasting that there's like no focus in the world whatsoever. So it's like so much sound that it's like nothing. And that's kind of what put us in this boat all along. Not to go on a political rant at all, but like, you know, it's obviously this poem was a political rant. And that's kind of what brought us here. And it's kind of, you know, the same kind of repetition with the stanzas about the lightning bugs. I really love how the lightning bugs mate and how they find their mates. They make little J's with their glowing bellies. And I always imagined that it just felt like a burp because it's just like a chemical like imbalance in their bellies that just like explodes light. And I really love that. I don't know if there's a scientist that's listening to me. Caitlin, if you're listening to me, just be like, no, that's not how it works. No one's listening to this. But, you know, I kind of wanted to say like, oh, look, like we're all just showing all of our chemical imbalances. Like, I'm so anxious on the internet to try to like attract other people that are able to like deal with our anxieties. And I think that's hilarious. And it's kind of mean of me to think of that way, but I'm kind of just talking about myself too. I'm kind of just like, hey, hear me, look at me, this is my stuff. And then like I desperately make stuff like this, or like I write so like people can understand me. So like a lot of it's making fun of me, a lot of it's making fun of the internet. A lot of this is just like, you know, it's an election season, and I'm like, sorry, I had a speech impediment when I was a kid. I shouldn't have a podcast. Just, you know, it's an election season, and I want you all to know that like you are doing your best on the internet. I'm proud of you, but there's just so many opinions that they're all just getting swallowed up. And yeah, that's how I feel. Give me some liberty, the kind that makes kings look more like me. I want to see the weight of my shoulders shift off of me like some sand. Give me some charity, the kind that makes my wallet happy. I don't give a shit about any bargain, my mind is for me, not for sale. I wanna be the one honeybee that escapes from his instinct and duty and fly far away from the hive. I wanna leave my heart on my sleeve. I gotta tell the world how I feel about it before it rots like an egg. I wanna leave. Give me a chance to speak, time enough to make your knees weak. I wanna imitate the vibe that you give me so you can burn, baby, burn. Give me your memories, I wanna see your childhood dreams. You better taste the storm cloud's wine, you better believe it tastes fine. I wanna be the one honeybee that escapes from his instinct and duty and fly far away from the hive. I wanna leave my heart on my sleeve. I gotta tell the world how I feel about it before it rots like an egg. I wanna leave. I wanna leave. I wanna bleed. I wanna bleed. I wanna bleed. I do apologize for that performance, folks. I am a couple beers in, and I'm also trying to keep a little quiet. Usually, you can ask my wife, Michelle. I sing at the top of my lungs because my voice sounds much better to me when I'm like, ah, and not like, eh. But I had to go, yeah, me, to be quiet because I really like my neighbors upstairs. We've had like 3 neighbors upstairs since we left, and the one guy upstairs now, he's really cool. He likes Streetlight Manifesto. Unpopular opinion, they're not my favorite ska band, but as you can tell from that song, I like ska, I like punk, I like folk, I like music that is rebellious. Here I am being a little rebel. I think you can also tell I'm trying to make this this episode of the podcast, or a sode for the unpopular opinion folks. I'm trying to make this one kind of all bug related because I really like structure. I like a lot of structure in anything I create, anything I write. And I was like, oh look, I have a bunch of like bug related stuff, so this is gonna be the bug episode. So there's, the whole bee thing. I want to be the one honeybee that escapes from his instinct and duty and fly far away from the hive. I wrote this even longer ago than I wrote the first part of this podcast. So that was like 2016. I was living in Ohio, and I was trying to convince myself that I didn't love Ohio that much, which I do love Ohio. But now I'm in Chicago, and I'm happy. I thought I'd be happy in Florida. Oh, no, I wasn't. But, so I was like, yeah, I want to be like, I don't want to be all busy on the hive. I want to be like free and flying around and like a week, like literally a week after I wrote this line, like, yeah, I want to be a bee that flies from the hive. I went to this like library talk from these bee people, and they were like, right away, they're like, bees fly away from their hives to collect all the pollen to make honey. And I was like, well, shit. And then I like tried to rewrite it, and then I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to rewrite it because I don't edit things. You could probably tell. So yeah, so it's remaining there. I want to be the one honeybee that flies far away from the hive, and like all honeybees fly far away from the hive. So yeah, there's a lot of, fuck authority, like my poem. There's a lot of fuck authority from, everything. Yeah, so what else in that song? Oh, I tried to make it like, if, apparently records are outselling CDs now, and if it ever gets recorded on a record, I want it to be the last song, the last track, because there's that thing that the Beatles used to did. What the Beatles used to do is they would make a song or a sound like the sound, and it would be a track, and it's like somehow printed, like, I don't know. My dad's probably cringing listening to this because I don't know how records work really, but they kind of like imprinted this like track like on a part that kind of like repeats, so like it like kind of hits the needle back into place, so it would just keep playing the same thing over and over again. So the beginning of the song's the dot 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 dot, and the end of that song is dot 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 dot, so it could like start over, and it kind of feels like, just like any other like pop punk. It's like, I'm tired of this town, and like it's all the same. All my poems are the same. All my songs are the same. So I don't know how long this podcast can keep going without you guys being like, God, we know you hate society or whatever you get out of my stuff. I don't hate society. There's just a lot to point at and laugh at. I'm just kind of like the Nelson to society. I'm just like, ha ha, and I don't know. I sound like an edgelord saying all this, but it's how I feel. I just think there's better stuff out there than trying to fit into all these things. And take it from me, a guy that has to wear a suit every day at an office that's literally a cubicle and doing like meaningless bullshit jobs. So yeah, so that's more or less how I feel about the song. You don't really have too much more to say. I know I talked your ears off about that poem. So that's it. We'll be back after a few messages.
Are you out hunting for a job? Are you tired of robbing banks? Both require bullets, and bullets require money. Stop! Zap You a Job can help. Zap You a Job is a simple website where you upload a resume and we do the rest. When you're out there in a suit, packing heat to some skyscraper downtown, millions of people overseas are dying to see your resume and steal your data. Don't miss out. Zap You a Job instantly makes your phone number, job history, and email visible to all sorts of interested parties. Some of them might even be a legitimate company needing an employee. Listen to some of our happy success stories.
Yeah, my name's Philip Sterwerf, and after I've been scammed by this website like 3 or 4 times, this random company downtown actually existed, and I just kind of started working for them so I could get off of this website as soon as I can.
The name's Greg, and I'm an official pirate. I gave all my information to this other pirate posing as a company. After they stole all of my money, I kept in touch with that guy. I asked him how he made an official Zap You a Job business account, and now I never really have to work a day in my life. I just keep stealing, just like him. Now me and Hasier are married.
Sign up at zapyouajob.com right now. What do you've got to lose? You have no job and you have no money. zapyouajob.com.
Parasite. The skinniest woman in the world orders 3 meal combos in the line in front of me. The old man taking her order asks her to repeat herself several times because she keeps mumbling. She finally shouts it, annoyed. The old man's eyes are wider than her waist. He says, "Right away, miss." I order my meal in a trance, and the old man is also in a trance. The thin woman struggles to carry her 3 cups full of Coke. The tiny table saves her from struggling. She sits down and the chair doesn't squeak. I can tell the old man and I are thinking the same thing. Her order is up. I decide to be nice and carry the 3 paper bags full of fatty food to the skinniest woman in the world. She nods, frowning. I see her cups are already emptied of their substance. I ask if she wants a refill. She nods. As I finish filling her cups, my order is placed on the front counter. I carry the cups over. She stops eating and covers her mouth, embarrassed. She nods again. I nod back at her. I can't think of anything else as I eat my meal. I keep staring. I know I shouldn't. She finishes a bag and starts on another bag full of food. Every time she takes a bite, she looks around to see if anyone is staring at her. Of course, that's my cue to look away. As I finish my final fry, I turn my head and see her mouth wide open and full of worms. The worms are vicious. They steal her meal out of her skeletal hands. Her eyes sing a desperate song of starvation. She doesn't have teeth. She only has worms. They hate her. Modern man. Joey admits he is sexually attracted to the common housefly. He explains, "I start my day by leaving turds in the toilet. They like my products, so I let them feast. I prefer pancakes, but they prefer batter. It's almost the same thing, so I don't mind making the compromise. I watch the clock at work. The few flies who've hatched there dance around it. I long for lunch. When I eat alone at the table, the crumbs tumble out of my mouth. I love the way they clean my messes. Joey's flies fly all night. They will never really love him." Okay, so I lied to you guys at the beginning of this podcast. I said I would read one story and then explain how I feel about it. I read, one of my bug-related stories, Parasite. And I was like, that one's pretty damn clear of what I'm talking about. You know, consumerism. The feeling you get when you're at a McDonald's and then you see like a really skinny person with no teeth somehow eat like 3 combo meals. And then you're just like, how? Like, you know, you're so skinny. And like, you know, it's, I don't know. That one's kind of not my strongest suit, but I was like, I'm going to read this one. And then I was like, you know what? The next page is Modern Man. And that one was obviously it's the story that I took and made it the main title for my short story collection I'm reading it from, Modern Man and Other Creatures. Oh my gosh, you didn't realize this is an advertisement. Modern Man and Other Creatures is a collection of flash fiction that is available, and it is available on Amazon. Hold on, my cats are going crazy. Anyway, Modern Man and Other Creatures is available on Amazon right now under the name Philip James Sterwerf, and it's $9.99, less than $10. Please, just buy my collection of short stories. It's fun. It has scariness to it. Both the stories I just read are in it back to back. There's a lot of bugs in it, but not all bugs. There's a woman with antlers and like little warts where her eyes should be. That one's a pretty interesting story. It's called The Woman on the Bus. There's a lot of things like it. But yeah, so yeah, Parasite, you know, it could be about eating disorders. That's kind of what I wrote it. And then, you know, my wife was like, that's not how eating disorders work. And I was like, okay. And then, so then, you know, a while back, way long ago, I wrote Modern Man. And Modern Man has an interesting story in itself. So it got published by 101 Words in June 15th, 2016. And so it's been a while. And it's kind of funny. They really liked it, and they emailed me back, like, we really like this story, but we just got to know, are you homophobic? And they didn't really say that verbatim, but they were pretty much beating around the bush to find out if, like, I meant to be hateful in this story. And I'm absolutely not homophobic. People read it that way, I guess, or they were afraid that they read it that way because it starts, Joey admits he's sexually attracted to the common housefly. But no, I just thought, what if a guy was sexually attracted to a common housefly? And, like, how would that affect his life? And I was like, well, he'd, like, obviously just be, like, just enamored at, like, the little, like, lunch break room at my job that I had at the time, which was at a nursing home. There's always like 1 or 2 flies flying around the clock. And I was like, he'd probably like, you know, get a really big hard on right now, just like watching these flies. And then I was also thinking, you know, flies are like literally what, like, you know, they're originally maggots, and then they kind of just eat from dead corpses, and then they become these like little bugs that fly around for about 24 hours for a whole day, eating nothing but like turds, and then like die. And like before they die, you know, they put their eggs in turds, and the turds become maggots, and the maggots become flies. And I don't know, that means a lot to me. Don't ask me why, I don't know. But I also am a big fan of Franz Kafka. I say I'm a big fan. I've only read The Metamorphosis, and I love The Metamorphosis. And I was thinking about my class on modernity in college. So modernity is more of like stuff written in the late 1800s. And they always start with like a narrator that's not really a part of the story. Like, this is the story of this person, he says, and then the rest of the book is like that person talking. And then at the end, like, that person dies or whatever. And then the person's like, oh, how that guy died and stuff. And then they're like, who the fuck are you? Oh, yeah, you started at the beginning. So that's where the term Modern Man comes from. That's where the title came from. I just kind of wrote, like, what I thought was, like, you know, my version of just, like, metamorphosis. Instead, he's sexually attracted to a bug. He doesn't become one. There goes my cats just running into walls again. But yeah, so I just thought, you know, I'm going to make this thing, and it's going to be like modern fiction. And people were right away like, hey, we really like this. Do you like not like gay people? And like, I felt really bad that they read that. into that. And I was like, no, I love gay people, and like, it's not about that at all. It's just like modernity. And they're like, okay, just making sure, because like if you don't like gay people, then we automatically don't like this story. And I was like, no, I like gay people. And then they're like, okay, well, we're gonna publish this story. And it kind of reminds me of this one time at karaoke in Bowling Green. So there's like karaoke, and just that whole thing is a whole rant in itself. I'll go into it. Why not? This is my podcast. Fuck you. So we went to karaoke one night at Grumpy Dave's, which is a really great hole-in-the-wall bar. And like, I've been there a couple weeks in a row, like at karaoke, and there's all these theater majors that would like perform. They wouldn't do karaoke, they'd perform, and they'd perform stuff that they'd like practiced. So it's like, I know myself a man of the dead, and it's not your fault but mine, and it was your heart on the line. That song. And like, it was always the same guy singing that song, and then like all his theater friends would be like bawling in the audience, and I'd be like, what the fuck is this shit? So I'd go up and I'd be like, I love singing, and I was like, hey, I want to do The KKK Took My Baby Away by the Ramones. And the little like dude was like, I don't know if you want to sing that, man. And I was like, I do want to sing that. It's my favorite Ramones song. It's easy because it's the Ramones. I'm not that good of a singer, but I love to sing. And like, no one's really sung anything that was like rock and roll-y punk that I want to hear. And he was like, I mean, we have it, but like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to offend anybody. And I was like, it's called The KKK Took My Baby Away. It's against the KKK. And he was like, we'll see. And he put me on the list. And then he like, before he brought me up, he was like, before I bring this guy up, I'm going to apologize. He really wanted to sing this. Anyway, here's The KKK Took My Baby Away. And I was like so uncomfortable that this guy was afraid that I'd make people uncomfortable by singing The KKK Took My Baby Away. I don't know, maybe he didn't know about the Ramones, maybe he didn't know that it was an anti-KKK song, but like, who in their right mind would sing a pro-KKK song, or like sing a song that would like be about the KKK that wasn't like, this is bad? I don't understand people that are afraid to make people feel bad. And like, I'm not saying like, the PC police. No, like, of course, be politically correct. Absolutely be politically correct. Like, don't say the N-word, like, because you can't say it. That's stupid. Don't say stuff like that. Don't do anything like that. Don't hate the LGBTQ plus community. Like, don't do any of that shit. You're stupid. You're fucking idiots. Like, just, like, sing your shit, write your shit, play your shit, do your shit your shit, flush it down. And I'm gonna end my podcast on that note. That was not a good rant. Why not? Flush your shit.